It's ridiculous. It's just turned into this beast. It feels like nothing will ever go right again. Hiya, welcome to Craftwerk. I'm Ruthie, and today I've got a slightly different video for you. I'm thinking you might have some thoughts, so make sure you watch till the end. But do let me know what you think in the comments below. So I've been seeing a lot of great posts, like particularly the smiley hashtag, which is sewing makes you love yourself, and I'm not 100% sure whether I'm going to join in. I think it's really great. It's quite a personal thing, and I also have some slightly different thoughts about it. I think everyone who's done it is like really brave. It's been really great, and it has shared a lot of the reasons why we all sew and why we love sewing. However, I've been thinking about whether it's as perfect as we make it out to be. There are some things that sometimes make me think, oh, why couldn't I have chosen something that was less? Anyway, so I made a little list. So first of all, it is frustrating. It's so hard sometimes, and sometimes nothing ever goes right. Nothing seems to be going right. It feels like nothing will ever go right again. And not just when you first start out, though. When you first start out, it's frustrating because you maybe want to get to the next level, or you can't work out why that thing keeps going wrong. Then when you get a little bit better, it's again frustrating because you want better equipment. It's frustrating because you want all the fabric. It's frustrating because sometimes it just won't go right. And sometimes you make the same mistakes over and over again. Sometimes you cut silly corners and you regret it. And sometimes it's just frustrating because you've made something and it just hasn't worked. Maybe it's not fit properly. Maybe it just hasn't worked out to be your style. And that can be so annoying when you've put all that time and effort into making something, to then realise you're not going to wear it is just so disheartening. Secondly, it's expensive. It is so expensive sometimes. All the stuff you see behind me costs a lot of money, really, and I don't have the most high-end equipment necessarily. I think my sewing machine is brilliant. I love my overlocker, although I know it's one of the cheapest models out there, particularly if you can get it from Lidl, like my boyfriend managed to. And I'm lucky that the majority of things are present. But yeah, I spend most of my money on fabric, or on patterns, or on sewing tools and accessories, or now on camera equipment. The hobby is just evolving and evolving and evolving, and it's just turned into this beast that I can't tame. And I can't stop spending my money on it, basically. I don't have a lot, as I've talked about before, and I'm particularly broke at the moment, and it's another way that it's so frustrating is that I can't afford to buy the fabric that I have in mind for the projects that I have in mind, so I'm kind of stalled. But it does mean that when I do manage to do it, it's going to be that much more special and spectacular. But yeah, it can be so expensive. Fabric can be so expensive, especially if you ever want to make something that's like waterproof or maybe active wear or whatever. These things just start getting so expensive, and before you know it, you're not spending your money on anything else. The third thing is, it absolutely takes up so much space. You will start wanting a sewing room, and until you get that, your entire house or flat or room will be dedicated to sewing, and you'll start not caring about other things. I know that's something that my partner always says, is like, why couldn't you have a hobby that takes up a little bit less space? I've got a cupboard full of stuff, I've got a chest of drawers full of stuff, as well as this area I have boxes and suitcases, and everything. And then of course there's the space in my wardrobe because I want to hang all my beautiful things up, whereas before obviously some ready to wear things could be folded and put in drawers. Now it's like, no, it all has to hang up. I want to see it looking beautiful and handmade, or it's made in things that, yeah, I can't not hang up. I've got beautiful dresses that take up a lot more room than anything I ever had before, and I need more wardrobe space. Even though I'm constantly purging, you may have seen some of my videos about getting rid of stuff or trying to have a more curated wardrobe, and really developing my personal style, so I'm a little bit more selective about what I wear and what I make. I still don't have enough space, and I've got 2 wardrobes. It's ridiculous. It's not just wardrobe space, it's the fabric, where do you store it, it's the notions, where do you store it, it's the trims, it's the machines, it's the space to cut out, to sew. Yeah, before you know it, you'll be wanting an entire sewing room. Plus, it gets everywhere. Thread is all over the place all the time. I'm constantly hoovering. And then pins. I have magnetic pin dishes, not 1 but 2, because I felt that 1 wasn't keeping all my pins in one place enough. I thought the magnetic pin dishes would help to stop them from getting all over the floor, but alas, they still seem to get absolutely everywhere all the time. Luckily, I haven't caused any serious injuries yet for me, my partner or my dog. But not only does it take up your entire space, it takes up your entire life. It is so addictive, and you just want to keep getting better, and you just want to keep making more of those things. If you enjoy making one pattern, then you will want to make it over and over again, especially if you enjoy wearing it as well. Before you know it, you have like 5 different versions of one dress, and that can be useful and it can be great for your personal style, but it's just so addictive, and all you want to do is sew, and all you can think about is sewing. And I became obsessed very quickly. As pretty much as soon as I made like my first dress, I wanted to make my second one, and then I realised that I was starting to think about other projects before I'd even finished the last project, and yeah, it just grew and grew and grew, and I can't stop, and I don't think I'll ever stop because I love it so much. Even though there are parts of it that I don't like, even though I don't really enjoy cutting out so much, it's so addictive. And that's why as well it ends up being so expensive, because you become addicted to makings, then you're addicted to fabrics, then you're addicted to notions, you're addicted to the magazines, the books, the patterns, the social media. It is one hell of a beast once you get into it. It is so much fun, but it's so addictive. My last one is, I think it really changes your perspective. You start looking at everything completely differently, from clothes that you already have to clothes that are in the high street, to your own self and personal sense of self, your self-esteem. As I say, people have been talking about this on the Smiley Challenge, but it really does change how you can think about your body, how you think about other people's bodies, and how you think about high street clothes and fashion and even designer stuff. It also changes your perspective on your own abilities. Like for me, it can be so useful when I'm feeling really down to realise that I can make something, and other people literally think you're a genius as well. So yeah, it totally changes your perspective, which obviously sounds like a good thing, right? But the bad part of that is that it changes how you think about ready-to-wear clothes. I'm actually wearing a high street jumper now. This was the only thing that I have bought in ages, certainly the only thing I bought this year, but it's only February. Whilst I absolutely love this jumper, it makes shopping very different now. When I go to the high street, I'm not excited by the clothes so much, or if I am, I'm usually excited by their construction, looking at how they're made, and then I get excited in my head about it, but I so rarely buy anything. I bought this because I've been eyeing it up. I haven't seen any similar fabric, and it is like knitted, but I would like to knit a jumper like this, but it would take me a long time. I'm not a very fast knitter. But yeah, it changes your perspective on high street clothes. You also start to think about who made it and where it's come from, the conditions they were working in, and all of those things. And you start to realise that you want to make absolutely everything that you wear. You end up looking at everything going like, but I could make that. And whilst that's a wonderful, beautiful thing, it does mean that shopping is less fun unless you're shopping for fabric. And your clothes and your wardrobe might not inspire you like they used to. You suddenly only want handmade things in your wardrobe, and so it completely changes your perspective like that. So yeah, those are my 5 reasons why you shouldn't start sewing, and if you hadn't guessed, they are all a little bit tongue-in-cheek. To some extent, obviously, the idea that sewing is frustrating, well of course it is, it's a hobby, it's a skill, and yeah, sometimes things don't go to plan, but you learn and you get better, and it's a challenge, and it's so good for your brain, it's so good for your sense of self when you accomplish something. Obviously it's expensive, most hobbies are. There are cheaper ways of doing it. For example, I go to Maggie's Fabrics in Lewisham, which is like mainly it's all like sample fabrics, so you can buy them for like £2.50 a metre or less, or slightly more. So it can be cheaper. I can make a lot of garments a lot cheaper than if I bought them on the high street, but obviously it does take time. But because of like the machines and stuff like that, sewing can be really expensive, but I like every garment I can tell you like how much I'm wearing. My ginger jeans now, they cost me about I think with all the thread, buttons, pattern, etc., they probably cost me less than 30 quid. My next one would be cheaper because I wouldn't have to buy the pattern again. I've made 2 pairs, probably in total for about £45-50. You know, most good jeans on the high street at that price, and yet these ones fit me perfectly and I made them, so I love them extra. So you kind of have to weigh those things up. Obviously my machines cost a lot of money, and yeah, the stuff around me, my dress form, my pegboards, the shelves, the table, everything does cost money. All of these things predominantly came from like gifts at Christmas. You can get cheaper machines and you can get like really good deals on them. Whilst it does cost a lot of money, the payoff is so much more, and the investment is absolutely worth it. So yeah, while some of them may seem like they're only a bad thing, they're obviously not. There's a good side to sewing, very much so, but we talk about that so much. I wanted to kind of share with you the less brilliant side, or the things that I find frustrating about sewing. I wonder how accessible this hobby is, but of course it can save you money in the long run. It is a wonderful skill, and as we all know, it saves a hell of a lot of money on therapy. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I would love to hear yours down below. As I say, take this a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Obviously, I love sewing and it is brilliant, and I do think that everyone should try it, especially if you're thinking about it and you need something to take your mind off the rest of the world and you would like to have a hobby and a skill. Then sewing is definitely one of the best things ever. It's definitely one of the best things that I have ever done. It's completely changed my life. So yeah, that's it from me this week. I'll be back next week with a Crafter's Companion haul, so stay tuned for that. And I will also think about doing the Smiley Challenge. I'd love to know if you would like to see that video or any others that you have an idea for. I will also do a fabric shop sort of tour, which has been requested quite a few times. I'm working on it. I want to do it in the best, easiest way possible, and in a way that would be good for the shops and retailers that I want to show you as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and you can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I'd love to hear from you, so don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll see you again next week. Bye!